It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead.
So I'm supposed to be reviewing Rorschach #1 and Dark Knight's Death Metal #4. Tonight I was going to release them tonight and the next day. But I had to take a break and change my plans because I read the latest issue of Strange Adventures from Tom King. And, when I've been reading it, it's Hallmark Tom King. It's got some very pretentious writing tropes to it. It's very dour, depressing in nature. It appears that Adam Strange is essentially he's going through some severe PTSD, might be losing his mind, not really sure what's true, what's not true. Is he a war criminal? Is he a hero? I guess that's somewhat the point of the book. But the whole time I've been waiting for Tom King to essentially assassinate the character of Adam Strange. So it's kind of his calling card. He turned Batman into, I don't know what, a second-rate. Was he even a hero? He was completely ineffective. He was always losing. He always had to be saved by his girlfriend. He allowed Joker to murder people in front of him, and all sorts of stuff like that. You go into Heroes in Crisis. What does he do there? Wally West, the hero of the symbol of hope in the DC universe in Rebirth, mass murderer. Not only is he a mass murderer, he went and framed innocent people for the murders that he did. He actually went into the future, killed himself, brought his own body back to give him a couple of days, I guess, to think about what he did. So this is his calling card. This is what he does. Even, if you go back to his Mr. Miracle, maybe, his best or his second best comic he's ever written. Very depressing narrative. So far, Strange Adventures has gone along with that. And like I said, I've been waiting for him to destroy Adam Strange, but that was not the case. He actually did the full-on character assassination of Mr. Terrific, Mike Holt, this week. Pretty surprised. This wasn't exactly what I was expecting out of Strange Adventures #6. Now, before I get into all the details of this character assassination, if you're a fan of Mr. Terrific, I think you'll be with me that you'll be upset. Although I do, there are a lot of Tom King apologists out there that would be like, oh, but he's just adding layers to the character. If by destroying the character is adding layers, I think you are correct. But before we get to that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Hit the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. Give me a thumbs down if you don't. I'm sure we're going to have some interesting debate. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on what I consider this to be complete character assassination of Mr. Terrific within the pages of Strange Adventures #6. And let me get this out of the way first. My mind's spinning here. I'm a little off. I'm a little off here because I'm a little mad. I'm trying not to be mad. Let's bring it down, Wes, and get to it. So there's this weird fascination in modern culture where everybody wants to talk about how, like, being a father, being a mother, it's so much work and it's so hard, and you shouldn't want to do it. You shouldn't want to be a mom. You shouldn't want to be a dad. It's not something, you should get married and not have kids. You should have puppies and cats, but you shouldn't have kids because the world is too screwed up, and you're not responsible for it anyway. I outright deny that. That is like having children. My 2 sons is absolutely the most wonderful blessing in my life that I've ever had. Along with marrying my wife. It's changed who I am as a person. It's changed my life. And, when I found out I was going to be a dad for the first time, was it a bit overwhelming? Yes. Was I a little bit scared? Absolutely. But once you finally have, when I finally have my son, he's completely dependent on his mother and I. It's a good feeling. Like you're taking care of somebody, you're providing for him, you're raising him up. And, do you feel like you're in over your head from time to time? Absolutely. If you think you're getting it all right the whole time, you're probably not parenting correct, because you should feel like, what am I supposed to do here? My parents did a great job with me, but this is not exactly what I was expecting, but it's a rewarding experience. I couldn't be the person that I am today without being a father. Just in the same way as I couldn't without being a husband as well. Just completely fulfilled my life. It's a blessing. Like my 5-year-old, he thinks I am Superman. You know, I read superhero comics because I like the stories, I like the morality and all of it, and you know, I think Superman is something to aspire to. You know, Batman in certain cases, although he's a little off sometimes. That's why I like the character as well. But like my son thinks I'm Superman because whenever he needs something, I'm there for him. If he's scared, you know, I'm there to hold him. If he's hungry, I get him some food. You know, when he wants to watch cartoons, I sit there and watch cartoons with him. We do all this stuff together. It's a great relationship. So this weird misnomer that being a father is a bad thing, like I'll never get it. So how does that relate to Mr. Terrific? Obviously, this character was created by John Ostrander in 1997. It's basically a new version of Mr. Terrific. He was inspired. He lost his wife, who was pregnant at the time, in a freak car accident. He's a super genius. He created some technology, sold it to Wayne Corp. He's essentially the smartest man in the DC universe. But after he lost his wife in this freak accident and his unborn child, he was contemplating suicide. He was on the brink of suicide, and the Spectre visited him and told him a story about the previous Mr. Terrific. And it inspired him to become a hero himself. He took on the fair play mantra, and you know, he's really one of the really strong black superheroes in DC Comics. And they're, you know, all agree with the sentiment that there probably aren't enough of them. We could use more great black heroes in the DC Comics universe. I'm all for it. And we have one right here, and you know, he goes out, you know, he's out there to protect the inner city, ensure fair play, you know, and look out for the little guy, using his intellect to do that. So, like I mentioned, he lost his wife and unborn child in a car accident, and this week he and Adam Strange's wife, I don't remember her name at this very moment, even though I just did read it, but like I said, I'm a little rattled by this, and let's talk about it right here. Here it is. They're having drinks, and he's been interviewing her. And Tom King has really written him as exceptionally pretentious, as you would imagine. It is a Tom King comic book. So for him to show you how smart that Mr. Terrific is, he makes him pretty much unlikable. Whatever. I do not blame that on the character, and I certainly don't blame that on John Ostrander. But this is where he goes, and he takes Mr. Ostrander's creation, and he created Doctor Strange as a black character, as the smartest man in the DC Comics, to like buck stereotypes, to buck trends, to show something different about what a black superhero could be in comic books all the way back in 1997. And this is his conversation, because actually I believe her name is Ileana. She lost her daughter in the picked ward with Adam Strange. And he's explaining what happened. There was a car accident. My wife was driving. I wasn't there. Hit and run. Guy got through a light. My wife was 35 weeks pregnant. She died. The kid died too. Or the kid died. And then she kind of talks about what happened to Adam and her daughter, you know, in the war. And then, you know, he says, you're not who I thought you'd be. I don't usually get things wrong. And she's like, is that an answer? And then he goes into this. This is the character assassination. I didn't want the baby. I don't know if it was because it was a shit world, or just because, I don't know, I worked too hard at being terrific. But I wasn't interested in being a father or any of that. I think the guilt does drive me. Yeah, all the dressing up and fighting nonsense. But being true, the guilt doesn't come from the kid dying. Nah, it's all about maybe being relieved that it did. So what drives him to be a superhero is because when his wife and his unborn child died, he was relieved. He wasn't ready to be a father. Like I'm like I said, there are Tom King apologists out there who be like, oh, but this is adding layers to the character. You can sympathize with it now. You know, people have lost, you know, children, and yeah, obviously people do lose children, you know, before they're born, and I imagine there are some people out there that do feel a sense of relief, or some people that, you know, I can't tell people how to grieve or anything like this, but this is supposed to be a superhero. This is not Tom King's creation. He's adding layers that aren't supposed to be there, that are ruining the fabric and integrity of the character. Now he's driven to be a superhero because when his unborn child was essentially murdered in a hit and run accident, he was relieved. Does that feel heroic to you? It doesn't feel heroic to me. Does this seem like something Mr. Terrific? Does it feel like a natural reaction for Mr. Terrific to that stimuli or that stress that happened or that event that happened? No, it doesn't feel natural. This feels like Tom King projecting all of his weird fucking bullshit fantasies on people. Mr. Terrific isn't a fucking pussy that when his wife and his unborn baby die, he's relieved. Oh, I wasn't ready to be a father. Thank good. Now I can go back to being a hero, or I'm going to become a hero now because I'm relieved. And I need to take my mind off the guilt I feel for being relieved. Get the fuck out of here, man. This is why Tom King is the worst. And this is why DC Comics, just think about the fucking editorial team and the management team at DC Comics. They greenlit this shit. This isn't only Tom King. This isn't only Tom King that's destroying Mr. Terrific, that's destroying the fabric of the creation of John Ostrander. It's Tom King in conjunction with DC editorial, DC management, because this is what they want Mr. Terrific, one of the few very strong black male superheroes in DC Comics. This is how they want him to be portrayed. He didn't want to be a father. He wanted to shirk that responsibility. He was relieved when his fucking unborn baby died. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, how can they even greenlight this shit? I know it's DC Black Label, and yes, we know fucking Tom King is forever fucking depressed and putting it into his comic books, but like, this is too fucking far. Like, when is enough enough? When are people finally going to let DC Comics know that this is fucking horseshit? And we don't want this anymore. You're destroying someone else's creation. If you want to go out there and create a fucking superhero that is motivated by his wife, an unborn baby dying, and that's what motivates him to go out there and be a superhero is the guilt he feels about the relief he felt about the fucking baby being died. Go create your own fucking character, man. And nobody will read it because it won't say DC Comics on it. That's the only reason any of your shit sells any fucking way. But yeah, needless to say, I'm a little fucking irked about this. There are enough negative stereotypes out there about black male fathers in the United States of America. This just fucking perpetuates that bullshit. This is not how he would react. This is horse shit. And I don't know. Who thinks of this shit? Who greenlights it? Who greenlights this shit? Riddle me that. Riddle me that, fucking Tom King and DC Comics. And it ain't all that much fucking better for Adam Strange either. I'll talk about this, as they're going back and they're talking about, what happened to your daughter? She's like, well, she died in the pit war. Did you see her body? No, she was with Adam when it happened. And then, Mrs. Strange, I think I can be honest with you. I think you already know what I want. And she says, it was a war. We were the good guys, but we weren't always good. Okay, so he's probably a war criminal. Towards the end, after Aliyah, that's the daughter, we were even cruel at times. But we did it all to defeat a horror, and we didn't kill that angry young man from the bookstore, that's the first issue. I'm ashamed of our actions, but I'm not afraid of them. Do you believe me? Let me ask you, after Adam returned, gave you the news, where'd you bury your daughter's body? What? There wasn't a body. She was the Pixar. There was no body. We put a small monument. All right, then. I guess I believe you. Michael, please, I don't understand. Not much to it. Whatever you do or say, whatever word's coming, I'm going to look. I'm going to keep looking at what happened because he's investigating whether or not Adam Strange is a war criminal, and you should talk to your husband about your daughter. Good night. So it's certainly implied that Mr. Terrific believes that Adam Strange, I don't know, maybe he killed his daughter, maybe he put her up as a payment. I don't know. He's saying that he's heavily involved. Maybe the Pix didn't murder her, he murdered her. Although it is insinuated that maybe it was his wife the whole time. She does say that she's the smartest person in the universe, and maybe she's setting Adam Strange up because she doesn't want to take the fall for the daughter's murder. Obviously, that's been played a big part into it, but I don't know. If you're an Adam Strange fan, thank your fucking lucky stars because you saw what he did to Mr. Tripp. And I'm sure it'll get just as bad for that character. I don't know. Am I thinking too much into this? Am I going too far? Do I expect too much from DC fucking Comics? And we wonder why DC Comics has this hopeless bullshit universe where it's all taken over by the dark multiverse and everything's evil and the good guys can never win. Trust me, I'm going to be talking about that one in Dark Knight's Death Metal #4. Good guys can never win in DC Comics anymore. It's no longer the universe of hope. It's because of shit like this. It's fucking creators like Tom King. This is what's wrong with the industry. This is supposed to be a premier comic creator in the industry. Enough said, you know. Can it come back with shit like this? Is Mr. Terrific, you know, fucking Batman or Superman or one of the, you know, the core A-list characters in DC Comics? No. But he is a character that somebody loves this character. Someone created this character. Somebody looks to Mr. Terrific for inspiration because he's a fucking hero. And he's, you know, maybe he got them through a hard time. Or maybe they were living in the inner city and Mr. Terrific's the character that they saw that was going in there and doing the right thing and looking out for the little guy. And they wanted to do that with their real life. And you know, and maybe he inspired them. This is Tom King spitting in anyone who's ever bought into this character. Spitting in the face of anyone who's ever loved this character. Spitting in the face of any other creator who's ever put time in on Mr. Terrific to make him a great superhero in the DC Comics universe. He's not A-list, but he is a good superhero. He's a solid black male superhero. We don't have enough of these. What are we going to do? Let's give him to Tom King. Let's see if he can fucking take him down. Not just a notch. Let's see if he can take him down 50 notches. So maybe he's not even a C-list character anymore. Maybe he'll be a fucking Z-list character that you can't write anymore because he's not a superhero anymore. Because he's motivated. Because he was relieved that his wife died with their unborn child. Because he wasn't ready to be a father. Just think about that. Does this add layers? Yes. It adds layers of bullshit to the fucking character. It adds layers of bullshit to DC Comics. And it adds layers of absolute bullshit to Tom King's resume as a DC Comics writer. Nothing but destruction. Character destruction. Character assassination. The man could give zero fucks about anything. Well, I would say that he didn't create, but he hasn't created anything other than what? Like fucking Gotham Girl? Who gives a shit about that character? He couldn't even make that character good. But he takes everyone else's creations, fucking destroys them. Takes everyone else's heroes that people love, destroys them. That's who Tom King is. That's who he's always going to be. He's never going to change. It's time to fucking tell DC Comics to get him the fuck out.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.